You've tuned in to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and Dr. Tara Lynn Sell. Your access to success strategies and more to help you move onward and upward with your life. Listen in each week as they interview others who have really taken their essence to the next level and truly unpaused their life. Now here are your hosts, Dr. Callie Estes and Dr. Tara Lynn Sell.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Callie Estes, and I am founder of the Addictions Academy, the Addictions Coach, and Rehab Rescue. Welcome to Unpause Your Life. This is a great podcast where we showcase people who have done something extraordinary with their life. I welcome you, and I hope you enjoy all of our guests.
On my way, found a reason to wake up another day.
Welcome to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes of the Addictions Coach and the Addictions Academy, and my co-host that does not like to be called Dr. Tara, Dr. Tara.
Oh, thanks. Dr. Tara Lynn Sell from drtaralynn.com.
Please don't call her Dr. Tara. Our guest today is Maria Salvatore, and she is a 500-hour trained and certified yoga instructor with additional trainings in yoga for trauma and addiction and yoga with the 12 steps, which is very interesting. She's also on the executive board of Kula for Karma, an inspiring nonprofit organization that brings therapeutic yoga and meditation to those most in need, transforming lives and changing the face of healthcare. She also recently got a chance to speak with Steve Madden at a big event in New York. So welcome, Maria.
Hi there. Hi, everyone. So excited to be on the show, by the way.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Let's tell everybody who you are. Tell us all about yoga and Kula for Karma.
Okay, so Kula for Karma is a national nonprofit organization that I'm on the executive board of, which brings therapeutic yoga and meditation to those most in need, mostly in hospital settings. And my work with Kula is to bring it to different facilities, drug rehab facilities, or any other facility where people are suffering from trauma or addiction or in the process of recovering from that state. So the event I actually did with Steve Madden was in New York City. It was an event called Mindfulness in Manhattan, where basically I shared a little bit of my own story and my struggles with addiction and depression and anxiety and complex childhood trauma. I'm always experiencing trauma in some states. And basically how yoga can really heal all that.
How did you get to yoga in the first place?
Well, actually, it's really interesting. In active addiction, I found hot yoga, inspired by a Madonna interview with Rosie O'Donnell. It was back in 2000. Basically, for the physical, Madonna's body is what inspired me, which actually a body image issue is what actually drove my addiction. I had a big addiction to cocaine, and I had seen an interview with Rosie O'Donnell, and she said, do yoga and you'll look spectacular. So that's how I call it divine intervention, really. And I ended up in a hot yoga class, which was very extreme, which was pretty typical at that point in my life.
Yes.
And I started to hear the wisdom in yoga and basically the message of healing, the message of deep salvation, and something I was so lacking at the time in my life. I was really suffering. And I thought, wow, you get so much more than just the detox, right? And now at this point, that was back in 2000, and I continued with that. And the more I showed up to the mat, the more I struggled, the more I used. I believe all of those moments really brought me to where I am today, which is now doing this work and bringing it to people that are trying to recover. It's just amazing. And basically, what I really would love the listeners or anybody that's listening who knows somebody that is suffering from addiction or anxiety or depression is that yoga brings this added dimension, right? It brings body awareness. It brings the body. I love the idea of therapy. I love the idea of whatever support group, a community, right? And yoga as a community as well. But there's that added dimension of the physicality and the physiological aspects of addiction and depression and trauma, where the neurotransmitters in your mind, I mean, what do you do with all that? And there are ways to manage them. through the practice of yoga, or as you guys shared, I was listening to a few of your podcasts, which is, I mean, this is just incredible. I'm so excited to share this with my community and with the people we're working with, because you can really live a life of deep healing, deep salvation, and dare I even say joy, which is something I was lacking for so many years for me. I mean, the world was such a scary place, and ridicule and fear and pressure to be a certain way or act a certain way or show up in a certain way. I mean, it just really drove this, you know, to check out through substances, whatever that is, whatever the substance is.
Where I work in Wisconsin, we have a wellness center, and I do have a yoga teacher here. And she works with mental health and addiction, but I'm curious on a broader level, like how well have you been received in the recovery community?
So I have to say they aren't so down with yoga, right? A lot of times when you're working in these communities, these populations, when they're really suffering, I mean, they're physically cannot move. They're so tired, right? And a lot of times they're and our program with Kula is a mandatory. So it's a nonprofit organization that brings yoga to these facilities at no cost to the patient. But then we tell them, you know, the therapists or the counselors are saying, go do yoga. And a lot of times they're so like, no, we want to just lay here. And what I say to them is, so just lay there. Just listen, feel the vibration, take a break from the sharing. You don't have to speak. You can just feel, and don't, you know, there's no pressure. And a lot of times when I share that I'm in recovery or been, you know, the feelings of the anxiety, the jumping out of your skin. I mean, this last bout with my own, this last round of time, and I'm talking, you know, psych ward, hospital, suicide attempts, physically. I felt like I was dying, physically ill with the flu. You can't move. You really can't. And so I just, once I talk about the feelings, it gets their attention, and then they start to be receptive. Once you start connecting with them at that level. And so with the teachers that we train to go into those populations that haven't had that feeling, we offer trainings to tell them, you know, just realize that they might not be so willing, because a majority of them are not. But I have to tell you, I have one student who said to me last week, I think I want to be a yoga teacher when I get out of here. It's just so beautiful. It's beautiful.
I used to teach yoga. When I did treatment, I was clinical program director, and I made everybody do yoga. And I got tired of pulling my hair out because it was the whining and the crying and the carrying on. And eventually when I left the inpatient side of things, I added that into my private practice. So all of my clients do yoga, whether they've done it before or not, as part of their healing process. So that's pretty cool. You got somebody to actually become a yoga instructor.
Isn't that amazing? And you never know. And I really have to go in there with with my own mindset that patient to practice patience, and basically they might not all hear you. They aren't all receptive, but I have to tell you, they keep coming back. They keep showing up. If we're battling coffee, really interesting.
Kelly, you need to pay attention to this coffee conversation she's having right now with yoga.
You cut out. I can't.
It's really hard.
Oh, yeah, sure I did.
Listen, I will do yoga all day long, and I will do
with coffee,
all the drinks, and I will do all the cleanses, and I am there meditating with you in the very front, but you are not going to pry the coffee out of my little wet hands. Not happening.
Coffee black every day, you're not prying that. It's really hard to compete with coffee.
Very much so. I have trouble getting people to have some buy-in to the idea of, I don't know, I call it like Eastern style yoga. Around here, everything is very much YMCA yoga, like you said, hot yoga, like yoga for workout. It's not necessarily yoga for brain workout.
The reality is what we want to do with a lot of these students is create a sustainable platform that includes different types of, there's so many different forms of yoga. There's yin restorative, there's power yoga, there's meditation. I've gotten really into Kundalini because I get a buzz from chanting and Kundalini. If you can allow yourself to try it and to let go, I literally can get a buzz. And
that's so interesting.
Sometimes I get some pushback in the 12-step recovery world about, you know, the terms I use and the verbiage about getting a buzz. And I'm like, listen, if I'm not getting a buzz, there's healthy ways to get a buzz. I mean, if you can allow yourself to kind of just get out of your own way, and it's a practice, just like anything. It doesn't happen overnight. I found an email from my first yoga teacher that said I was in the throes of addiction during my first yoga teacher training, like I can't quiet my mind. I can't stop it. I can't. And the reality is it's like just keep showing up to your mat and you never know. Like even if you get a half a millisecond of liberation, really, it's not about stopping the mind. It's about learning how to work with it and manage it.
Yeah. It took me about 2 months to learn an individual yoga practice before I felt like there was benefit to it for me. Yeah.
2 months? What kind of yoga were you doing?
For sure.
I was doing my own practice. Our yoga teacher set me up with our own personal practice, and I was doing it for about a month and a half, 2 months, and then all of a sudden the light bulb went off, and I was like, I knew exactly what I needed to do. It was an amazing experience, so I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibilities that it took that long.
No, but it's fun to make fun of you for it.
I know. I'm such an easy target for you.
And I think
I'm all
really
defensive.
just
Yoga defense.
introducing different practices. I mean, sometimes I bring them coloring books. There's different meditation you can do just through coloring, which that's debatable. I've read different pushback on, no, that's not really meditation. For me, anything that you're doing mindfully is meditation.
Right. So you incorporate yoga into 12 steps?
That was one certification I did, which is, that's another one that, you get into the AA traditions and people get a little like with their backs up. And so that one I did when I had a year sober. I did it called Y12SR. And it's with Nikki Myers. And it's how you can tie the steps. And it's the same idea of bringing yoga to different rehabilitation centers and how some of the poses can relate to some of the steps. So it's another certification on basically how a lot of the yoga philosophy and the sutras are similar to 12-step philosophy.
I'm not a huge 12-step proponent.
Advocate?
Right. I think there's a ton of different ways to recover, but I'm thinking,
Tell us more about that, Dr. Tara Lynn.
No, it's not my podcast. It's Maria's. But
I'm so open to everybody. I'm so open to, whatever way you're living a life of fulfillment, right? And if 12 steps doesn't resonate for you.
But I'm thinking, because, I'm in the Midwest and 12-step is pretty much the only way. If you look outside of 12-step, you're kind of looked at like you might have a third eye or something. But I'm wondering if the Y12SR is like a more palatable way to incorporate yoga into recovery, especially when it's so deeply rooted in 12 steps.
Well, I got sober on a yoga mat, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I did the whole 12-step thing.
Awesome.
Didn't work for me. Didn't work.
Right.
Didn't work at all. And it clicked in a yoga class with an instructor. And it was my first class, which is why I make fun of you, Dr. Tara Lynn. It clicked immediately that this is my thing. And it's been my thing ever since as a way to decompress, especially after these taxing podcasts. Maria, just roll with us. We're having a day. We're having a fun day.
I love it.
Well, my thing used to be running. I was a huge runner. I ran 6 half marathons, and then my knees gave out on me.
That's
so
I have to.
That's because I was a runner.
Now
right.
You should be a yogaite.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do. And you made fun of me for it. So what's a girl supposed to do?
Oh, please. You're not a victim here.
Yeah, exactly. All right. No victim stances over here. I'm doing the power pose as we speak right now. Just kidding.
God.
Well, Maria, what inspires you now? Like, what inspires you to keep going?
Oh, these calls. Every time I teach, my daughter. I mean, any opportunity now. I have such a life. And here's the real miracle is nothing different than the year I tried to take my own life, because that's really what got me sober. I had anxiety and depression, and it was fueled by addiction and alcoholism. And while for 30 seconds or 90 seconds or 10 minutes, I don't even remember, it would quiet it down. When the substance would wear off, the noise got so louder. And basically teaching yoga, and when you see the light come on in people's eyes, and I teach at a hot yoga studio now. I teach maybe 6 classes a year, a Howard yoga class, and then I do my work for Kula, which is in the drug rehabs, and I'm out there and I'm speaking, and you see people start to shift. It just lights me up. So that's what keeps me sustained, and I keep up with my own practice. I practice yoga every day, and I have a pretty good healthy diet. I have a daughter. Keeps me on my toes. That's another story. And, I'm really focused on stopping the stigma behind all of this, because what I have noticed is most people are so ashamed, to talk about it or talk about these subjects, and really just getting it out there and get the message. And this work with Kula has really lit me up. I feel like a different person. If you saw me 5 years ago from where I am today, same house, same husband, same child, still teaching yoga. It's like a different person.
Well, different mindset.
Different mindset is what I want to say. And the reality is I've just reintegrated. It's like this process of reintegration. So I look at myself, I'll say, I'm on the board of directors for Kula for Karma. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a yoga therapist. With the certifications, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. And then I am also was a drug addict, right? If we want to put labels on it, or an alcoholic, and a woman suffering from anxiety and depression and suicide ideation. Like, I hold all those titles with the same reverence. I don't make one awful and one great, because then I create this internal war within myself. And it's just a process of just sharing that you can change, because for so many years I would hear people talk about it, like claim your own power, change your life, or you can be happy. And I'd be like, how? If I do wake up some days with depression, I do wake up with anxiety, I do wake up sometimes hopeless. And it's just an energy. It's like physics. And there are ways to shift it. I run, I exercise, I drink green juice, I go call a friend, I find support, I find community, I find a life of purpose, and it shifts. It really does.
So we've got one last big question for you.
Uh-oh.
Or at least I have the last big question. All right.
Dr. Tara always gets to ask
here
the
it is.
question.
I have to have the last word. All right. All right. Now think about this closely, Maria. What is the most badass thing that you have ever done? Even something that maybe nobody else might know about.
My badass moment was getting up with that event with Steve Madden, who spoke with me. He has his own story. He's a big supporter in this work we're doing too. He's part of this journey, and sharing that with a room full of strangers in a corporate world in front of my daughter, where people told me, do not talk about suicide attempts in front of your 13-year-old because she can't handle it. And I was really torn, but thank God we have therapists like you guys. And,
Thank you so much.
And I really think to get up and share, you're talking about somebody who couldn't even raise her hand growing up in school because I was so full of shame and fear. That was probably my most badass moment and talking about.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Maybe I should get my certification with you.
You should. You would love it. Add it to your repertoire.
There we go.
I have a whole bucket list of things I want to do in life.
Of course.
Very cool. So how do our listeners find you? If they want more information on Kula for Karma or Yoga for Trauma, how do they find you?
KulaForKarma.org, as well as my website, which is mariasalvatore.com. They can YouTube my story, which is Maria Salvatore Yoga, as well as Instagram and Sal Yoga. There's lots of ways. Reach out. I would love for the listeners to really, if anybody is struggling, if anybody feels like they want to delve into the yoga world and hear more about what we're talking about, please reach out. I would love to hear from you.
Sounds good. And thank you for coming on Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes, the Addictions Coach, the Addictions Academy, and my lovely Midwestern co-host,
Dr. Tara Lynn from drtaralynn.com.
Have a great day, guys. Hey, everyone. Thanks again for listening. I really hope you enjoyed the show today. Head on over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and leave a comment or review of what you think. Or contact us at 1-800-706-0318. If you want to be on our show, feel free to email or call. And if you have a topic, feel free to email or call as well.
Thanks for listening to Unpause Your Life. For show notes and more, head on over to unpauseyourlife.com.
Big shout out to recoveryinnovators.com for help producing this show. Thank you, guys.
I took a walk down the long road where they said that I shouldn't go. On my way found a reason to wake up another day. nothing to show for it. No need to escape, in love with my pain. I may be awake, but I'm alive, still alive, and I won't be bound by your mistake. No, I won't be your enemy, trapped at the gate. Bring me to life, put me to death. Just give me something that's just not so hard to believe. To believe. To believe. I took a walk down the dark road where they said that I shouldn't go. I knew the dangers of flying. Now I'm so far from solid ground. But they needed to show you all the things that you won't do. Find faith or religion, but nothing to show for it. No need to escape, in love with my pain. I may be awake, but I'm alive, still alive, and I won't be bound by your mistake. No, I won't be your enemy, trapped at the gate. Bring me to life, put me to death. Just give